In Texas, along the coast of the ocean, there was a small but incredibly beautiful town called Blue Harbor. During the daytime, the town looked like something out of a dream. Wide open roads, tall palm trees lining the streets, colorful wooden houses, and the glowing orange sunset over the ocean every evening made the place feel magical. People traveled from far away just to visit Blue Harbor. At night, the entire town lit up with sparkling lights. Neon signs outside the shops reflected on the water, making it look as if the whole town was covered in stars. The people of Blue Harbor were cheerful and friendly. Every Sunday, music played along the beach, kids rode their bikes by the shore, and families gathered together for picnics. But in this beautiful town, there was one place that made people nervous the moment they thought about it. Out in the middle of the ocean, standing on top of huge rocky cliffs, was an old lighthouse. The lighthouse was so old that moss covered its walls. Its broken windows made creepy sounds whenever the cold night wind blew through them. The older people in town said the lighthouse was almost 100 years old. Even during the day, very few people went near it. But at night, no one dared to go close. People said that at midnight, a strange blue light appeared in the top window of the lighthouse. Sometimes, a shadowy figure could be seen standing there. Several fishermen even claimed they had heard mysterious bell sounds coming from the ocean late at night. Some believed the spirit of an old sailor still lived there. Others said a hidden treasure was buried inside the lighthouse. Every day at school, the kids shared scary stories about the place. One kid would say, "My uncle saw a ghost there." Another would reply, "No way, there's a secret tunnel under the ocean connected to the lighthouse." The stories only made the lighthouse feel even more mysterious. In the same town lived a 12-year-old boy named Alex. Alex was different from the other kids. He enjoyed solving mysteries more than playing video games. His room was filled with maps, old books, flashlights, and tiny detective gadgets. Almost every evening, he would sit on the roof of his house and stare at the lighthouse far out in the ocean. There was always one question in his mind. What's really hiding inside that lighthouse that scares the whole town? Alex was brave, but he wasn't reckless. He liked discovering the truth behind things. His mom often told him, "Alex, your curiosity is going to make you a great explorer someday." Alex's best friend was Emily. Emily was smart, quick-thinking, and a little bit fearful. Whenever Alex chased after a mystery, Emily was always the one trying to keep him out of trouble. Their friendship was famous around school. After classes, they would collect seashells on the beach, search for hidden treasure on old maps, or sit inside the town's old library reading mystery stories together. One evening, they sat by the ocean watching the sunset slowly disappear behind the water. In the distance, the lighthouse stood silently in the growing darkness. Emily quietly asked, "Do you really think there's a mystery inside that place?" Alex smiled. Every mystery hides some kind of truth. But what if there's actually a ghost in there? Alex laughed softly. "I think people's fear is scarier than ghosts." The next day, excitement filled the school. The entire town was preparing for the upcoming Blue Harbor Festival, the biggest celebration of the year. The school was decorated with colorful banners and lights. Kids were busy preparing dances, paintings, and science projects. Then their teacher, Mr. Roberts, walked into the classroom. He taught history and was famous for telling exciting stories. Smiling, he said, "Kids, next week is our town festival. This year, whoever brings the most interesting story, discovery, or mystery will win a special prize." The whole class became excited. One student shouted, "I'm making a project about the old train station." Another said, "I'm doing mine about sea creatures." But Alex stayed quiet. His eyes were fixed outside the classroom window toward the ocean. Far away, the old lighthouse stood silently in the distance. Suddenly, Alex's eyes lit up. He slowly looked at Emily and whispered, "What if we uncover the mystery of that lighthouse?" Emily froze. "Are you crazy?" But Alex only smiled slightly. He could already feel it. This wasn't just going to be a school competition. It was about to become the biggest adventure of his life. The moment Mr. Roberts announced the contest, Alex couldn't stop thinking about the lighthouse. While walking home from school, he turned to Emily and said, "If we solve the mystery of that old lighthouse, we'll definitely win." Emily looked nervous, but people say strange noises come from there at night. That night, the two packed flashlights, a small camera, and a map before quietly sneaking toward the beach. Dark clouds covered the sky. Cold wind blew across the ocean, and giant waves crashed loudly against the rocks. As they climbed into a small boat and headed toward the lighthouse, Emily suddenly gasped, "Alex! Someone's standing up there!" Alex looked up. For a second, he saw it too. A shadowy figure standing in the lighthouse window. Both of them froze. Then suddenly, a strong gust of wind blew across the tower, and the shadow disappeared. "Maybe it was just our imagination," Alex said, though his heartbeat was racing. A few minutes later, they stepped inside the lighthouse. The place was old and covered in dust. The wooden stairs creaked loudly beneath their feet. Then suddenly, thump, thump, thump. A strange sound echoed from upstairs. Emily grabbed Alex's arm. "Someone's up there." Alex switched on his flashlight, and slowly they began climbing the stairs. The higher they climbed, the louder the sound became. Then suddenly, slam! A door shut on its own. Emily screamed, "We should go back!" But Alex refused to quit. "Just a little farther." When they finally reached the top floor, they saw a room glowing with a faint blue light. In the middle of the room sat an old wooden box. Written across the top were the words, "Only those free from greed will understand this mystery." Alex carefully opened the box. Inside was an old diary. The diary belonged to an old sailor named Captain John. It read, "Many years ago, a terrible storm struck this town. Ships lost their way in the darkness. The light from this lighthouse saved hundreds of lives. But during the storm, I was trapped here alone. Until my very last moment, I never let the light go out." Emily whispered softly, "So this place isn't haunted. It's a symbol of courage." Suddenly, a voice echoed from downstairs. "Who's up there?" Alex and Emily jumped in fear. Looking down, they saw an old man holding a lantern. He was the lighthouse caretaker. The old man smiled warmly. "Don't be afraid, kids. I always knew someone would come here one day." He explained that people had forgotten the lighthouse's true story over the years, and scary rumors slowly replaced the truth. "This lighthouse is actually a memorial to our town's hero," the old man said. Alex asked, "Then why does the light appear every night?" The old man chuckled. "I come here every night and turn it on, so people never forget Captain John." Emily let out a relieved sigh. But suddenly, a violent storm began outside. Huge waves crashed wildly against the cliffs. Then the old man pointed toward the ocean. "Oh no! A small boat has lost its way." Alex immediately shouted, "We have to turn the lighthouse on." The three of them rushed upstairs, but the old machine wouldn't work. Alex noticed several broken wires. Using the science skills he learned in school, he carefully fixed the connections. A few seconds later, the entire lighthouse lit up. A powerful beam of light stretched across the ocean. Far away, the lost boat finally saw the shore and safely turned back toward town. Tears filled the old man's eyes. "Tonight you two saved lives just like Captain John did years ago." The next morning, everyone in Blue Harbor was talking about Alex and Emily. At the school festival, they shared the true story of the lighthouse with the entire town. People were deeply moved. Mr. Roberts smiled proudly and said, "True bravery isn't about defeating fear, it's about helping others." Alex and Emily won first prize. And from that day on, the old lighthouse of Blue Harbor became the pride of the town once again. Every night, its bright light shined across the ocean, reminding everyone that courage and kindness never grow old. The end.